Wild weather is tonight's top story. I'm Mitch Jelniker. Natalie Peugeot has the evening off. The tornado came with little warning, touching down near Boulder this afternoon, surprising a lot of people.
20 years and nothing like this, not this close. I mean, there's been funnel clouds in the air, but nothing that's touched down around here.
The twister was on the ground only for a matter of minutes, but time enough to rip apart the roof off this house in Lafayette. You can see the damage from Chopper 7. The tornado hit Jim Stengel's house, tore apart his storage shed, and uprooted several big trees. Debris from the twister driven like nails into the side of his house. The Stengels say they barely had time to get in the house ahead of the twister. They could hardly believe the damage when the storm had passed.
We didn't even know the damage till we come out and looked at it. Had no idea that the trees were down and the building was gone and stuff like that till we come out and looked at it.
Well, luckily no one hurt in the storm. The Stengels' house was the only one seriously damaged by the tornado. We have all kinds of wild weather stuff to show you tonight, so we have team coverage. Andrea Richards is at Adams County with some people whose homes are damaged from the flooding there. Lance Hernandez is at Buffalo Creek, where folks have to be ready to move out every time heavy rain hits. We'll hear from them shortly, but first we send it to meteorologist Steve Paulson at the 7 Doppler Max weather station. Steve?
Yeah, Mitch, a busy day in the weather office, so without further delay, let's get right to it. Front and center, as you all know, was the tornado that touched down. Let's get right to the highlights here. Rob Werner had some of the best pictures. He shot this video from his home in Louisville, and you can really see the tornado rotating right there. Nice. Thank goodness for video cameras. You get all this video now. Here's another shot. This one from Scott Whitmore. He was in Broomfield along 287 near Miramani when he saw the funnel cloud touch down. At one point, the tornado moved over Baseline Reservoir. So then, technically, it became a water spout at that time. But the tornado wasn't the only thing. You can see the hail. Windshield wipers not doing much good as hail falls on cars in the Denver metro area. Look closely at the hood and you can see the hail piling up. People reported everything from pea-size to golf ball-size hail. If hail's not enough, how about some heavy rain and street flooding? Alameda and Clay look more like a river this afternoon. One driver kicked up quite a wave, almost soaking our photographer. Hey! And here's another picture for you to show how bad it was. Look at the water pouring through the wheels of the bus in Denver. Up in the foothills, we found lots of rain, too. This is Upper Bear Creek near Evergreen. The water's moving, as you can see, very fast. The creek is full, but no real flooding we spotted, at least yet. We are concerned, though, over the weekend, but we did find some hail, even up in the high country. All right, and this is, as you can see, 7 Doppler Max. The severe weather has pretty much tapered off, and now it is just general rain. And it looks like this will continue tonight into tomorrow. And you know what? This line of rain extends from New Mexico all the way up to Wyoming. So for those of you who live in low-lying areas or floodplain areas, be advised over the next 36 to 48 hours that we might have some severe weather. The severe weather caused damage in other parts of the metro Denver area today that we haven't seen yet. 7 News reporter Andrea Richards is near 128 and Colorado Boulevard in Adams County. Andrea, how are you out there?
Well, I'm dry because I'm inside the Winston family garage, but take a look at this mess. This big pipe you see down here pumping out water is actually pumping water from the family's basement, which is right through that kitchen door. It's filled with water when the worst of the storm came through here several hours ago.
I was down there and all the windows just collapsed and broke and all the water just kept coming in.
Jesse Winston is talking about these windows to the basement.
They were down there and the water just came down and the windows just broke open and we just ran out of the basement because all the water came in.
Here's what it looked like then. Computers and furniture floating near the ceiling. The problem is the park behind the home. When drains clogged, the water kept rising right to Barb Winston's backyard.
So it's just amazing the pressure of the water that could move those 2 huge walls to the next to the house. It's just amazing. So pretty scary.
I've been on the job for 20 years. And I've seen it rain, but I haven't seen it rain any harder than what it did today. So it was a pretty good storm.
It flooded roads. Police closed this one, and parks and greenhouses. Maintenance crews who watched the water rising here got a glimpse of that Boulder tornado.
It was awesome. I'd never really seen a tornado before, and you could see it coming out of the clouds, and suddenly the tail started coming down on it, and we were going, okay, don't come down any further, and then you could see the tail just working its way down, and you could see where it actually went down and touched the ground, and the thing started expanding like this here, so.
And back in the Winston's neighborhood, one fear hasn't gone away.
More rain. Doesn't look like it's going to let up. looks like it lets up every once in a while, and then here it comes again. So.
Now you're looking at a shot of the basement, which we showed you a little bit earlier. You can see the water has come down, but it's still got a long way to go. It's a complete mess in here. The family had just set up a home office, brand new computers, everything, fully finished basement. It's a complete mess. And the worst part about this whole thing is this family and some of the neighbors have had some water problems before, and they've been fighting with the developer to get proper drainage put in the backyard, and obviously that just hasn't been done. So now, tomorrow is going to be a big cleanup day all over this neighborhood. There's about a dozen homes in general, in this general area, which have some kind of water damage in them. This is the worst of those dozen homes. Back to you.
All right, Andrea Richards in Adams County. A wall of water came rushing down the burned-up hillside above Buffalo Creek today. 7 News reporter Lance Hernandez is in Jefferson County, just southwest of Denver. Lance?
It's still very wet here, so wet, in fact, that we're having trouble keeping the fog off the camera lens. I'm in Buffalo Creek. You can see that along this fork of the Platte River and the creek itself are very full tonight, but well within bank full. The big problem a little earlier was along Highway 126 where that drainage ditch filled up with water and they had to shut the highway down temporarily. Tonight, steady rain causing more problems. The basement is flooded at the Buck Snort Saloon up one of the canyons near Buffalo Creek. Owner Joe Bott is mopping up.
Basement's got about this much water in it right now, in the keg room. There's nothing down there that can be damaged, so I think we'll be okay.
My sister came outside and she's like, wow, what's that noise? Do you think it's the river? And I was like, well, I don't know.
Every time it rains in Buffalo Creek, this roadside ditch turns into a river.
I saw the water and I was just really impressed. I was like, this is really neat. If we flood, this is going to be cool. It's exciting.
Jenny Williams has only lived here for a few months and doesn't know yet the damage major floods can cause. This storm was so big that 3 hours later, much of the hail was still on the ground. Normally, most of the moisture soaks in, but last year's forest fire burned away the ground-hugging vegetation. Now, even the topsoil is gone, and when it rains, this is what happens. Now, the big heavy rain lasted about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes earlier this evening. Tonight, not as heavy, but still steady. And the big concern isn't about creek flooding. The big concern is about more of that rainwater washing down the slope and into that gully along Highway 126. Back to you, Steve.
All right, thank you very much, Lance. Well, we've seen the pictures of the tornado, but if you think that's all we have, au contraire, people lined up to show us their pictures, and we will show you those coming up at the end of the weather segment. Mitch?
Good deal. We'll see you then. That was good stuff.
One more last look at the tornado. Started in Broomfield, Jeffco, around 2:15 around that time, then ended up over in Baseline Reservoir and southeast Boulder. And there you can see coming down from the clouds. Again, we thank each and every one of you who shot this video and supplied it to 7 News. We could not have done it without you. It was great stuff. And speaking of the tornado, thank goodness no one was injured. We also had numerous reports of hail. Remember, I've told you once, I've told you a million times, don't exaggerate on the size, but upwards to golf ball size came in from all over the place, especially around Thornton. That's where we had some pretty good reports. Now, as far as we're going, let's take a look at 7 Doppler max. The line of moisture extends from New Mexico all the way through Pueblo, Colorado Springs, where they had golf ball size hail earlier this evening, all the way up to Fort Collins and even into Wyoming. Now, we're still getting just general rain, and it will be continuous, so we're concerned about that. And I think over the next 36 to 48 hours, we'll be under the gun, and we'll start to see temperatures cool, so the chance of severe weather will decrease, but then we'll just see rain and rain and rain, and that'll probably exacerbate some of the flood problems. So for those of you, the West Foothills, you live near some of the creeks, streams, or rivers, keep that in mind over the weekend. Some of these storms can produce rain about 1 to 2 inches in a very short period of time. In fact, DIA is reporting a thunderstorm right now at 54 degrees, wind out of the northwest at 13. Look at the humidity. Air is saturated, dew point 54. Temperature 50, that's where you get the humidity. And pressure 30.05 and falling rapidly out at DIA. 79.57, average for this time of year 78 and 48. Temperatures will cool down. Here are some of the highlights or lowlights, depending on if you were in the path of it. The tornado, 3 miles southeast of Boulder, that goes down officially. That's what it was on the storm report. Thornton, 1 3/4 size hail, that's golf balls. Denver, numerous reports. We're not trying to broad brush, but 1 3/4 size hail as well. Commerce City, not only a funnel cloud, but 1 1/4, 30th and Federal. Large hail, same for downtown Denver. And then Thornton, 4.6 inches of rain. Riverdale Golf Course also. If you have plans for the links tomorrow, you might want to call ahead. A lot of them are pretty soaked. Look at the moisture coming up around an area of high pressure, this convergence, and then the low down into desert southwest. They're just coming right together, and it's just going from south to north. In fact, the storms today went east to west. That's a little unusual. And we'll start to see that pattern continue coming up around the high. This low will finally eject out probably on Sunday, and it's carrying with it some tropical moisture, so look for a lot of rain by the time we get into Sunday evening, then also into Monday. Here you go. There's the moisture. Continues to go north to south, so general rain overnight, and again, occasionally heavy at times. So your forecast for tonight does call for rain. Keep the umbrella. You will need it. Tonight, pretty much just covering everything with 40s and also 50s. Grand Junction 59. We might even see some 80s tomorrow on the west slopes and also out around Goodland. But right through the chute, you can see mid-70s. So again, tonight, rain, few thunderstorms, windy at times within those thunderstorms. Tomorrow, a little bit cooler. Still, though, I might be a little optimistic on that high of 75. Rain, though, seems to be the big weather word. And also unsettled as we head into the weekend. Also into Monday, then improving conditions on Tuesday and Wednesday. Well, have a tornado touchdown on the eastern plains, and it might not be seen by anybody. Have one touchdown in Boulder County, and let the cameras roll. 7 News reporter Paul Reinertsen was at one of our live truck sites where photographers formed a long line to show us their home video of today's twister.
The sky darkened, and even before the funnel cloud formed, the video cameras were running.
You could see the black cloud, and then out of it came the funnel. It came out of my gate, and there it was. Just huge, right in front of us.
And it definitely was turning into a tornado.
For some, grabbing the camera was an afterthought.
We were scrambling for the basement, actually, because we were right in line for a normal southeast pattern.
But this one was not following a normal pattern.
The tornado actually went that direction. So that cloud was pretty much right over it.
Like a pencil-like tornado come down.
I was just hoping that it wouldn't come over our house.
As they felt more secure, the zoom lenses started to kick in.
Zoom in on it, you could kind of see it spiraling.
And as it started to turn, you could actually see the white area in the exact middle of the funnel cloud.
Okay, there goes Dorothy and Toto.
But it broke up without causing major damage.
I've never seen anything quite this close, this clear.
And they all have something to show for it. Paul Reinertsen, 7 News.
On a final note, we here would like to thank each and every one of you for supplying us with information, be it on the phone or however, including the video. We could not have done it without you. And any time, believe me, we'd love to hear from you. Mitch?
Busy afternoon you had.
Kind of. About 1:30 we came in and it was hailing, yes.
Yeah. Well, we should have spread some fertilizer down for all the rain came.
You bet.
All right. Thank you, Steve.
Anytime.